Okay, everyone, we are going to move along to our next presenter, and we're extremely lucky tonight because not only did we just have one former Olympian joining us, but we have another one set to join us right now in 2008 Canadian Baseball Olympian Chris Robinson. Chris's experience with Baseball Canada dates back to 2002 when he was a member of our junior national team program as an amateur player, before going on to the University of Illinois. After that, a 9-year career in professional baseball that culminated in 2013 when Chris realized his dream of playing in the big leagues as a member of the San Diego Padres. Perhaps some of Chris's greatest moments, though, on the baseball field came in a Team Canada uniform, represented Team Canada 13 times, which is definitely up there with some of the all-time performers with Team Canada. He, as I mentioned, was in the Olympics, was on the Olympic qualifying team, won a bronze medal in 2009, back-to-back Pan Am Games gold medals in 2011 and 2015. Not to mention the starting catcher on our 2013 World Baseball Classic team. And beyond his playing days, Chris has been a guest coach with our junior national team program and is a key figure in the growth and development of amateur baseball with the Great Lake Canadians program near his hometown in Dorchester, Ontario. So Chris has witnessed the college recruiting process change and evolve from the time that he was a player to now where he's dealing with young athletes and helping them find their path. So he's here tonight to speak to us about this. Chris, great to see you, buddy. We look forward to learning from you tonight, and the screen is yours.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Thanks for having me. It's always an honor to be involved in Baseball Canada in whatever capacity we are, whether it be coaching, whether it be playing, obviously doing something like this. It's such an honor. That being said, I'm not sure what I did to Mo or Andre or Jason to have to follow up one of the best Olympians we've ever had in the softball or baseball side of things. So I'll do my best to try to follow that tremendous act of Danielle. And once I transitioned out of playing, it was a pretty easy transition. I had a nice fallback plan right into the coaching component, and very quickly thrown into the elite level of baseball. And it was a great opportunity for me to transition from the playing career right in. I didn't miss baseball, and I haven't missed baseball. I believe I haven't worked a day in my life, so I'm a lucky guy. So my job tonight is to go through the recruiting process, in a pretty vague or a pretty general sense. I will speak mostly tonight on the American university process down in the States. Obviously in Canada here, every year we get the baseball's better and better at home, but we'll focus mostly on some of the things down south. And usually within the program, I do this annually, and it's a two-hour piece. And so I'll try to jam 2 hours into 20 minutes tonight, and go over some things pretty quickly, and just give a little bit of a rundown as well. So I'm going to try to share my screen here, Adam, if that works. And let's see if that works. Hopefully.
Yeah, I can see it. You're good.
Okay, in 2021, we've been living on Zoom. I better have this figured out by now, right? So again, I'm gonna go through the recruiting 101. The first thing, we'll just go through some introduction to college baseball. And I think one of the things we see a lot of is that players want to play college baseball, but they don't have a clue of what college baseball looks like or the different levels. Secondly, I'll explain the recruiting process quickly, talk about some of the some things to do as a coach if you're looking to potentially help some of your players seek out scholarships, players tips, parents tips, how as a family you can go about creating some more exposure for yourself. And then quickly, one of the most important things, and probably as a son of two teachers, I'm obligated to say this, but having done this for almost 10 years now, the academic requirements are ultimately part of the bigger picture, as big as the actual playing component. So we'll touch on that very quickly, but more so that's probably time for another longer, more detailed information, but we'll go through that. And then hopefully, as Danielle just did, hopefully we'll open it up and have time to answer some questions. So first off, we'll start from the top, and NCAA Division I schools. Just to explain those are the powerhouse schools. Those are the ones that we're most familiar with. Those are the ones you turn on TV on Saturday on ABC or NBC, and you're seeing Ohio State, Michigan. You're seeing the big schools play, the SEC schools play football, basketball, whatever it may be. So they're the ones that we tend to understand and we tend to know as well. On the baseball side of things, there's about 300 Division I programs right now operating. Again, biggest schools, bigger conferences. A lot of that has to do with the budgets, the facilities, sometimes the academics. Each Division I roster has 35 to 40 players. That was expanded a little bit over COVID. They're starting to try to get back down to that 35 number. And then obviously the big thing to take from this is Division I schools, for that 35, 40 man roster, they have 11.7 scholarships to spend throughout that whole roster. So I think the idea of the full ride scholarship in baseball, it's very, very rare. At times teams can pair academic money to get to closer to a full ride. But when it comes to full ride scholarship, if you put yourself in a college baseball coach's shoes, if I'm going to give a player one full scholarship and leave the other 36, 37 players to 10.7, I better hope that guy comes in and really, really makes a difference for 4 years in his career. So obviously that 11.7 puts restraints on schools. A cool graphic I have here that I picked up over time. This is, it might be a little bit difficult to see, but this is a Division I, an actual Division I baseball roster and their scholarships broken down. Again, it's different names. They changed it. I'm not even sure what school it is, but it is a pretty good understanding. It gives you a glimpse into, where a lot of schools can spend their money, and obviously some will differentiate. But you look down there on the bottom left with the pitchers, a 78% scholarship for that top player. That's a very significant scholarship. Again, that's a front end guy, a dude, a Danielle Laurie type that's going to come in and really, really affect your program for 4 years. So from there's some high pitching scholarships, and then you look up the middle, right? I mean, it's no different than free agency in professional baseball. You work from the middle up, the center fielder, the shortstop, and then obviously the catcher is always the best athlete. So you got to make sure that you're paying them accordingly and getting someone back there that has a clue. Moving on to the Division II side, Division II programs, similar type scholarship program. They have a few less. There's 12 with 9 scholarships. There's approximately 250 programs down there operating right now. Again, smaller schools with maybe some smaller budgets. But the one thing that when we go through the recruiting process with our players and our families, we try to stress about finding the best fit. You'll see it later in the show. I talk about finding the fit is so important, so very, very important when it's coming to the schools, and not necessarily finding the biggest school, but finding the best fit. So with Division II programs, there are a lot of strong Division II programs throughout the country. And we're fortunate enough in the northern parts of the US, there are some very, very strong Division II programs that we've had Canadian kids at that have had a lot of success as well. Moving on to Division III, very similar, or I guess the main difference here with Division III is there is no athletic money, no athletic scholarship money. So again, there's a ton of programs. As you can see, there's 375 Division III programs operating. There's some of those are very strong academic schools. So just because they're considered Division III doesn't mean you're getting Division III or a lesser education than you may at the Division I or Division II level. You look at schools like Johns Hopkins, Tufts, MIT, those types of schools are competing in the Division III at the Division III level. So academically, obviously, those are some of the world-class institutions. With zero athletic scholarship money, what they do is they offset it by a lot of Division III schools can put some very, very aggressive academic packages together for players to get it. From our experience, to get it pretty much close to what some of our Division I and Division II guys would pay. So again, it's something to keep your options open when we talk about that here shortly. And when you're looking at players and you're advising players as coaches or as players and families, we try to preach that you look at all programs and try to keep that filter as wide as you can so that there's more opportunity for you. NAIA, it's a little bit different governing, but it's a completely different governing body, very similar to some of your other four-year programs at different levels. Just like Division I, just like Division II, just like Division III, there's some teams that separate themselves as top programs. One of which we have here in the country in UBC. It's a tremendous program, what Coach Pritchett has been doing there, and the facilities, and it's a really good opportunity for players all over the world, and especially Canadians. These are the four-year programs as well, so they do operate similar to what the NCAA 1, 2, and 3 are at. As you can see, scholarship money is available for teams, along with academic money. And again, there's 183 NAIA baseball programs operating as of right now. So it's something that can give another great option. And you, again, when we look at academics and we stress the academics part of it, you look at UBC, obviously a world-class education there as well, with a very, very strong baseball program. I think I got a picture of Jeff Boomer Francis here coming up, and obviously we all know Jeff Francis, and he was a UBC grad as well. So the point being, they'll find you. The players, the good players, they get found regardless of what level of baseball they're at. One thing that I spend a lot of my time doing is explaining junior college baseball to families. I think for some reason there's a little bit of a negative connotation when it comes to junior college baseball. I think as time's gone through, at least my experience of dealing with it over the last couple of years, is people are starting to understand the opportunity that they could have. And as I said, anytime you have 500 plus baseball programs to play in down there, if you completely ignore those ones, then again, you're not giving yourself as many opportunity, or as much opportunity. There is scholarships. There's a lot of scholarships available. They're based on usually school to school. Not every school will use 24 of them, but they are accessible to a lot of the schools with the budget. And it comes down to junior college comes down to really good opportunities for Canadian kids. Obviously, what the first and foremost is, it's much more affordable. I'll show you that here really quickly. You're going in and you're competing against a player that's a year or two older than you, versus maybe 4 or 5, or now the COVID, it feels like they could be 7 or 8 years older. It seems like these guys are getting more and more years of eligibility every year. And then again, it's an opportunity to get into that 4-year fit. A lot of times when we're up here in Canada, we're doing great things as a country in baseball. But when you get down there, you become one of them, and you play in a junior college loop where your stats are relevant. They're comparable to the guy they brought in from that school last year. And it just gives potentially a little bit more opportunity once you get down there. Easing into your college experience is always something that some students can handle, or it is a little bit more successful. And then obviously, as I said, you use it as a stepping stone, no different than programs here where you're using it to move on to the next level. Again, this is usually where I tell our parents and our families not to freak out. These are just the numbers. And again, this is before any academic aid, any financial aid, any athletic aid. But again, it gives you a really good snapshot into the differences of money based on the 4-year, the 2-year, and how it goes about there. So you can see the difference. I mean, junior colleges are 3 times as less on average more than the public school, and 4 times as less more on the private 4-year school. So again, without freaking everybody out, we have Canadians at every single level of this. So, but it's always good to see the numbers right in front of you. So again, that's kind of the quick crash course into the different levels of baseball, all of which is very accessible online right now. I mean, I cross-reference a lot of my information online each year when I update my slideshow. Moving into start of the process, I know we have some coaches on here, and again, I know we're closing in on some time, but some of the responsibilities on the coach's end, and again, I think that working with your players, Danielle just talked about knowing your players, like it's huge, and understanding them so you can really help the family make good decisions, help them find the fit. And you'll see that in bold all the way through the rest of these slides, is find the right fit. I say to our guys, find your Vanderbilt. Everybody wants to go to Vanderbilt. We get that. But the reality is, I think we've only had one in Canada there historically. So you find the right fit, and find your Vanderbilt. As coaches, you can educate yourself. And as I said, there's a lot of really good resources online that can catch you up to speed. With your players as well, you can help educate your players, because there is one of one of the greatest parts of my job is most of the families we deal with are very, very green to this process, and you should be. And in fact, I think sometimes with social media going on these days and all the outside noise and everything, I prefer the families that are the greenest. I really do, because then when I know the information I'm giving them or our staff is giving them, that they can really they can take that and run with it. And the most important part for coaches is you have to be honest. You have to be honest. Be honest to your players so they don't waste their time. And more importantly, or as importantly, be honest with the college coaches you're reaching out to. Not so much for your player that you're trying to promote, but for the players after you. Once you tell the one college coach that they need to come watch this kid throwing 99 miles per hour and they show up and he's throwing 82 miles per hour, that's the last time you'll get that coach there. And that reputation starts to proceed. And I think there's a lot of people within the country, that do this well. And I think that that's why they've had so much success sending players on to the next level. Running out of time here, Mo. I'll just jump into the responsibilities. As I said, the academic stuff, I think that's for another day anyway. It's a pretty intensive thing. But player responsibilities, advocate for yourself. I mean, big time for players. This was something that was said to me by a Hall of Famer that I had as a manager, and Ryan Sandberg. I went into his office one day, I was complaining about something, and I just apologized. I'm like, sorry, man. He's like, no. If you're not going to advocate for yourself, who is in this game? And that's something that I always impress on our guys. I can work really hard. Your coaches can work really hard to trying to find a fit, but it's your career. If you're not advocating for yourself harder than anybody else, then it's really hard to jump on board with that. Again, early in the process, research is great for players. Keeping all of your options open is the biggest thing. There's so many opportunities down there at different levels for college baseball. I tell our guys all the time, your best fit you might not have ever heard of. So continue to do your research. And the last thing I'll just jump to is, and I think this is a societal problem for us, is we want the end result. We want it right now. We want to be able to Instagram it. We want to be able to tweet it. We got that thing ready to go. And we lose sight of the process, and the process. And Danielle hit it on the head, like the things that she's gone through. And that's the process. That's made her great. That's made her who she is. And we lose that sometimes. We forget that the process is going to prepare us for the next level for when we actually do that. So, there's a lot of things pulling us, and it's tough to be a kid right now. It's tough to be a parent going through this. And we've been stuck on social media for the last year and a half because there's been nothing else to do. But the players that can really focus on the process, focus on preparing, focus on developing as a player, they're the ones that end up in the end, when they find their fit, they're the ones that are most prepared for it. So as I said, a lot of things, and I'll just touch on this last time. There's a picture of Boomer coming from UBC, but the pro scouts nowadays, any pro scout you'll talk to, gone are the days, the Larry Walker days, where it's like, we're lucky Jim Fanning saw him on the ragtag baseball field he was on. If you're a professional player, regardless of the level you're playing at, they will find you. There's scouts everywhere. That's where it becomes so important. And we tell our guys, you maximize this for your education. And we promise you that if you turn into a professional baseball player and you have the skill set to move on to professional baseball, they will find you. All right. And that's all over the world now. But so as I said, the academic, Mo, I'll probably open up to questions. Academic information is, I'll just say this, that the NCAA Eligibility Center is our best resource for academics. It gives you, it walks you through it. There's a guide you can download. It's international friendly. A lot of the information you can find online will deal with American academics or American high school players. The Eligibility Center will walk you through step by step exactly what you need to be eligible, talks about your core courses, gives you good references to use, resources to use, and that. So, well, that was quick. How did I do timing wise?
Yeah, you did awesome, man. And there was one question about whether we can make these slides available, and of course we can, because you had, similar to Danielle, just tons of great information and personal perspective on it, which is tremendous. I know it's a lot to unpack in 20 minutes, but I'm going to get to one question, Chris, because that's all we have time for. And I think this is really appropriate for today, because I think today was National Signing Day, right? So it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of good that we had you on today. And this is one question that you can speak to. It says, if you are a 2024 grad, are they already picking for D1? So there's a good
Hey,
one
actually
for
pretty
you, bud.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I guess the answer is yes, but my advice would be no. You know, I think that again, everybody's in a hurry to sign, and just remember that before today of your senior year, so there was guys signing all over the country. It's a cool day. But before this day happens for that senior class, everything is a verbal commitment. There's nothing written on paper. There is nothing that binds you to that school. And on the other end, there's nothing that binds the school to you. If there's a coaching change, if when you're getting selected as a 2024, you're probably getting selected based on what you could be. There's not too many 2024s in the world that can step onto a Division I campus and compete right away. So they're guessing. They're just like scouts do in professional baseball. They're guessing. They're projecting. What are you going to look like? Well, if you don't progress to that and you're going into your senior year, I mean, at times schools can say, well, you know what, that verbal commitment's no longer. So I think in the history of the national team program, it started over the last couple of years to work a little bit earlier. But again, those are the elite of the elite players in the country. So for the most part within our program, I think the number I throw out, we've had some pretty good players there. It's usually in the 80 to 90% of our players sign their set after Christmas of their senior year. And there's opportunities. There's plenty of time to be had. There's plenty of money still to be had, regardless of what people tell you. And I think sometimes waiting for the right fit to come along can be as advantageous as jumping out early.
Awesome. Really, really sound advice there, Chris. Again, thanks so much for joining us. Wish we had some more time for questions, but I mean, the information you gave was tremendous, and we will make sure that we circulate that slide deck. So Chris, have a great night. All the best to you and your family. Thanks again, and we will see you soon.
Thanks, Mo. Good seeing you, buddy.
Okay.